I want to say DJing was a derogatory term for many people, especially parents growing up, that, it's who is it? Why would you DJ? Late hours, you're just, in this party world, etc. So there's a difference between being commercial and being someone who has their own creative, artistic style. Because your audience came to expect something I wasn't able to deliver. They're looking at me saying she didn't deliver or he didn't deliver. They're not saying the owner is the one, or the promoter or the person who's organized it is the one we're going to point fingers at. When it comes to a specific performance base, and they're not going to care. They're going to say that Avantika just, she was missing something tonight or whatever. So I don't want that. In the last 2 years, there's been such a great boom of performing artists, VJs, RJs, you name it. And then within that, there has been a significant number of women that have come to the forefront as well. And this has happened also because now they are getting recognized. So recognition has come about, so has representation.
Hello and welcome to the Majik House podcast sessions. This evening we have Avantika with us, a DJ, a producer, a classically trained singer, a rock vocalist, an entrepreneur. Hello, Avantika. It's so amazing to have you here today.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you for having me in this extremely beautiful and special Majik House.
And I'm sure we're going to be having a lot of magical conversations because we were at your gig yesterday and I think it was mind-blowing. It was just so groovy. And yeah, I have my new favorite is DJ for on my DJ list, female DJs. I'm going to jump straight in and ask you about your earliest journeys, like the journey, the starting point. Like, where did it start? How did it start? What were you as a kid? Were you like this little child DJ? Like you had it in you, the music, and like you just knew? Or was there a certain journey or like that led you to it? How is it for you?
I think music has been extremely instinctive for me. Since I was a young girl, I was exposed to very different genres, whether it was having trained classically as an Indian vocalist for many years since I was a very young girl, simultaneously being exposed to my parents' LP collection, which had genres from, the blues, rock, pop. We were listening to people from everyone, including the Eagles, the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, Elvis Presley, Rod Stewart, Stevie Wonder, Dolly Parton. I mean, the list goes on. So there was a very interesting sort of confluence of this more modern age sound meeting the Indian classical sound at a very young age. And as I grew older, I started getting more interested in rock music. And I think that happened very naturally because in high school, I was surrounded by a lot of like boisterous guys. And I went from a convent, which was all girls, to a co-ed. And when I went to the co-ed is when I actually started discovering rock music and auditioned to become the lead vocalist of my high school band and did sing for 3 years. Wow. And that was a very interesting journey because by now you had like an Indian classical sound meeting all these other genres, and now you have like, rock music.
It was like the complete music package,
I think so. Yeah, it was definitely, once rock music came in, it just sparked something completely different. And soon after, I went to college and started, discovered hip-hop music, R&B.
Oh.
Well, high school helped me discover hip-hop and R&B, to be honest. But the real hip-hop, R&B, contemporary styles, even Bollywood, happened in college for me because we danced in college and I had to audition to get into a professional dancing groups, like troupes.
Right, you're also a trained dancer. You've had your fair share of years.
I actually
training in.
I learned Bharatnatyam when I was much younger. But I think music happened more organically, as you can see. And in college is when I became more like a trained hip hop dancer and R&B and all these other like cool styles. And I also started choreographing dances there. And funnily enough, I was choreographing Bollywood. All the dances I did were, you name it, like we've done, your Ishq Kaminas and your
So cool.
like,
What
you
fun.
name Sheila, Munni, like everything. So we've choreographed those dances, and also done the more cooler styles,
Mm-hmm.
the more street styles, etc. And that was interesting, a very interesting period, because that's also my introduction to club culture.
Right.
The first time I ever went clubbing was when I was 16 years old, when I was studying in Boston. And the clubs were really interesting. It was a fun atmosphere. You had different diversities. You had Arabs who had a corner, you had Latins who had a corner, you had Indians who had a corner, you had Americans who had a corner, and then you had like a really fun, diverse mix in the middle,
Right.
right? So obviously, what does the DJ have to do? They have to cater to every individual out there. So that's when they start getting creative. There's a mix of genres happening. Open format music got introduced to me. What I term as global dance music got introduced to me, because I was
Right.
hearing all these beautiful flavors, like Latin flavors coming in. Now there's a Arabic flavor coming. There's some strange,
Afro.
yeah. The Afro was, in fact, Afro was not big at all in like 2000. I want to say 2007, 2008. Like people were not talking about Afro. There was
Okay.
a lot of Latin influence, definitely. There was a lot of, as you know, whatever is in Billboard Top 100, right? You
Right. Right.
definitely had the more poppy sound, the more
Mm-hmm.
synthy sounds, but not as much Afro at the time. And I think post that, the answer was pretty clear. Even though I was studying business and entrepreneurship specifically, uh, music had always been something that came very naturally, and I think got subconsciously ingrained in me, to the extent that even after I graduated, I was working for Coca-Cola, specifically Coke Studio,
Mm-hmm.
and I did like literally all the, pardon my French, but bitch work, from booking flights,
Peep.
peep word, peep work. But I've done everything from booking flights for big artists,
Mm-hmm.
to making itineraries,
Right.
to working long hours, getting accessories specifically for a festival, ensuring that, their requirements are completely on point. And those experiences were so undervalued back then. You felt like, why am I doing all of this? But
Right.
now that I think back, that's exactly how I like to be managed. That's
Right.
exactly the hospitality I expect, because I saw why they were demanding what they did. They worked hard to get there, and
Right.
they are deserving artists. So I'm digressing a bit, but that kind of that journey at Coke Studio was very important and close to me. And I met some of the most amazing people, super creative people out there who were very inspiring, extremely, extremely inspiring. Whether it was, back then there were Vadali brothers, Ila Arun. These opportunities also made me go to the Jaipur Lit Fest, where I had the chance to see Oprah Winfrey speak. So,
Whoa.
it was like a lot of really cool, creative things kind of happening at the same time, communities getting developed. And then eventually, I wanted to do something in music. I was like, what do I do? So every summer that I came back, I tried to learn music production. And there was an institute called the Beat Factory back then.
All right.
So
Where
I
was
did
this?
it's in Delhi,
Okay.
and this was in like 2008 or 9. So that was the only place that I could find, and honestly, it was a great experience, because I was learning to produce music while I was at college. And every time I would go back to college, we would throw like the coolest parties in my suite. As a senior, every single person every Thursday was like, "It's Thursday. What theme do you think Avantika has today?" And we had like Cancun Reloaded, aka Spring Break, happening, where the theme, the music style, people had to dress accordingly. It was so cool.
The works.
The works every Thursday. And then there was like the next Thursday, you had to dress up as a geek, as a nerd. So people were coming with like socks up to their knees. Music also got adapted accordingly. It was more like funny music,
Right.
and like that, this kept kind of happening. So it's been very consistent, I want to say. Like there's something or the other happening. And even my friends in college were like, it's so obvious, like you're throwing the parties, you're calling the right people, you're doing the themes, and what's next?
Right.
So then Coke Studio happened after college, and Coke Studio was a great stepping stone to what I wanted to do next. And I since then it's been 10 years. My
Wow.
God.
And I
Somebody
think
pinch me.
10 years, but a multiverse of experiences and music and sounds. And speaking of communities, do you feel what is your thoughts about the sort of support, or was there a community present when you started off in comparison to, let's say, today? If some, let's say, if young girls had to, reach out, or this is the road they want to walk, or they want to go and learn music production, do you feel there is more like um platforms, sources, spaces for kids these days compared to back then? And what were the kind of challenges like in comparison then and now?
Uh, a lot has changed since then, definitely. Back then, there were limited resources, number one, hence fewer opportunities. There was not a lot of visibility because
Mm-hmm.
there were hardly any opportunities. And specifically for females, I would say all of this. Yeah, like less
Right.
opportunities, resources led to few opportunities, led to lesser visibility. Things have changed significantly over the last 10 years. And especially in the last 2 years, there's been such a great boom of overall artists,
Mm-hmm.
in India. I don't want to just say
Right.
DJs, I want to say
Right.
producers, performing artists, VJs, RJs, you name it. And then within that, there has been a significant number of women that have come to the forefront as well. And this has happened also because now they are getting recognized,
Right.
right? I think DJs in general are getting recognized. You have I want to say DJing was a derogatory term for many people, especially parents growing up, that,
Mm-hmm.
it's who is it? Why would you DJ? Late hours, you're just, in this party world, etc. So there was a derogatory sort of term attached to being a DJ. But today that is being recognized and celebrated. So recognition has come about, so has representation.
Right.
There are good agencies out there who are giving good representation to artists, specifically to DJs. More than that, I think there's been an explosion of venues as well. I wouldn't say we've reached the you know the peak of having enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are still figuring out what sort of a venue this industry requires, what style of venues, or how do you actually balance out making money as well. That's something that's a big business decision. So
Right.
that aspect we are still struggling a bit on, but you do see a big change with the number of places opening and wanting DJs to come and
Right.
play. And there is opportunity today because you've given us representation, you've given us the recognition. So now the opportunity has come up, and you'll see a lot more females actually pursuing an entire career in electronic music, in the performing arts. You see there is a sudden growth, and that's very exciting. Most importantly, even for me, I would be stepping out of my comfort zone and playing with other DJs,
Right.
playing with other singers, playing with other, not just playing, getting other visual designers on board, teams of videographers on board. So it's not just about the music, it's about the entire community we're about to create and are
Right.
creating. So now those communities have started coming up. Specifically for females, there are so many, women in electronic music, they're supporting women through and through. You have I think Wild Wild Women, they're like a first hip hop collective, of rappers and graffiti artists, etc., all women.
Right.
So, I mean, these are sparking from like now communities coming together saying, hey, we have the opportunity, we've got the resources, we were getting help. And now it's time to, fly. It's time
Right.
to like show people, our talent and
Right.
our passions now turned into careers.
So you also are a burner, right? That's the term they use for the people who are at the Burning Man. Tell me something about that journey, because it sounds so interesting.
Uh, yes, I am a burner.
I love the term.
It is amazing. I honestly, it's been one of the most profound and life-changing experiences for me. I'd heard about Burning Man, like, I don't even know how long ago. And in 2014, when I was doing a short course in music production and DJing in New York City at an institute called Dubspot, that's when I was planning to go to my first ever burn. And for many reasons, I couldn't make it to the playa, which is what we call the desert. And I did manage to go in 2022. And that's when I truly felt, emotionally stable, spiritually very, exactly how I am feeling today. Uh, Physically fit and active, financially, independent and feeling ready to be able to invest in this experience for
Mhm.
myself, for my growth. And was fortunate enough to go in 2022 for 10 days. It was a very tumultuous experience because you literally do not expect what is about to happen. It's the most overwhelming experience of your life, and also the most magical experience one can ever have. You're surrounded by, firstly, it's a community,
Right.
so you have a community of like-minded people who are expressing themselves so authentically. It's that energy there is very palpable. You have 10 principles that you need to adopt when you're at Burning Man, some of which are, radical self-reliance.
Mhm.
So how do you ensure that you manage yourself and your expectations
Right.
without having to put that burden on someone else?
Mhm.
So once you commit to this principle, when you're there, you're not whining about things, you're
Right.
not complaining about things. Even if you do, you remind yourself that no,
Self-service.
it's
Right.
self-service, right? Radical self-expression. How do you feel like expressing yourself? Whether it is through your words or whether it's through how you dress and appear or however you want to. And everything is acceptable out there. You're not judged there. It's a
Right.
judgment-free zone. And it's also a very respectable space and environment. People are not, literally scanning you and looking at what brands and shoes and all you're wearing, because another principle at Burning Man is decommodification, which means that no brands are allowed on the desert. You're not going to
Nice.
see a Hermes or a, Gucci or anything.
Mhm.
Everybody looks the same. Everybody's covered in playa dust. Everybody's this little like fairy, kind of like buzzing from one camp to the next. And truly, the burn comes alive at night.
Mhm.
It's so magical. Everybody's lit up. That's a double entendre right there. Everybody's lit
Yeah,
up.
I've seen pictures and videos. It just looks so
Yeah,
mad and
it's
magical.
magical. It's
And
magic.
you played there as well,
I
right?
did. Yes, I did. That was amazing. It was my first burn. I played at some of such cool camps. Camp Music Savages, Disorient, which is a music camp. And there was an art car as well, which we call mutant vehicles. And they're the coolest things ever.
Okay.
There are people out there who love engineering and want to build, like, they want to convert a truck into the coolest moving dance floor that can
Nice.
that can house 100 people bouncing on it for 7 days straight with the best sound system attached to it.
Wow.
The best sound system.
Sounds
You
like a
will
dream.
it was a dream. It was a dream. And I had to keep pinching myself every single day and be like, am I really here? Is this really happening? It's a and to be a DJ out there, it's a whole other experience.
So did
It's
you face any, like, how is it, the whole process of you getting to DJ there? Was it like from the beginning you were very like inclusive and very like welcomed, or did you have to kind of like go through certain like bushes to kind of get there?
I so I've traveled extensively, also played globally in Europe, in UK, in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, etc. So that community and that network definitely helped me. You know, have you seen Better Call Saul? I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Right.
That's essentially how it all happened, right?
Nice.
One person wants to help, they'll connect you to the other person. By the way, side story, that's how this happened. I'm in the presence of another burner.
Right.
So Abhishek Majik. I still can't believe that's his last name. That's why I stutter every time. Um, was kind enough to invite me to the Majik House, and we connected last year when he wanted to go for his first burn, and he reached out to me for some tips and tricks, and we kept in touch. And he came to my gig last night, which is when I finally met him. And here we are today. So that's the community of the burn, right? He's doing this just out of the love of having a burner in his space. That's honestly, that's
Right.
what I think it is. I could be wrong. He can correct me later. And that's the beauty of, some of the prince. And just FYI, he set all of this up himself.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that is what radical self-reliance actually is, which is so impressive, because I think in India we're so used to someone doing something for us.
I'm just curious, what were you feeling when you were playing there? Because just being there or just stepping onto those sands must have been sort of a jolt. But then actually playing at a festival that you adore or admire so much, what was that like? And
It was very exhilarating. It didn't feel real. I had to pinch myself multiple times to even realize what was going on. Firstly, it's such a unique environment, right? It's a one of a kind experience and gathering where you have art installations, some of the best art installations you will ever see in your life, all around you. You have a creative community out there, very open minded people, diverse culture, right? It's a diaspora for literally anyone and everyone be who wants to just thrive in an environment where they are accepted. Every different camp, every different art car has something different happening. There's a lot of opportunity and room for being experimental at Burning Man.
right.
So now I've actually started doing hybrid sets where I not only DJ but I sing live.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and that is actually a very big part of some of the best art cars and camps,
Hmm.
where they allow people to really showcase um, things that they not in the default world
Right.
is one that they might not want to be ready to showcase in the default world. It almost gives you a stepping stone into um your first piloting something that you've been working on, right? Or just building your confidence as well.
Right.
Because when you are there, the types of people are, I mean, it's you have people who are 70 years old, all the way to, there's a Kidsville at Burning Man, by the way.
So cute.
There's a Kidsville, and there's a person who looks after all these like 20, 30, 40 kids that come. So, I mean, there's literally an entire
It's like a
generation.
sweet little village
It's
during.
village is an understatement, but it's so picture you've got like a piece of land,
Hmm.
and they've marked like this is what it's going to be like. It's a grid system,
Hmm.
right? And every single camp and every single person has a little piece of that,
Okay.
right? So you're building essentially a community, like a
Right.
neighborhood.
Right.
You're building a city,
Okay.
right? And then in that city, you have neighborhoods and
Right.
boroughs and things like that. And you have neighbors. So as you're there for 7 days, you start remembering your lanes, and you're perpetually lost at the burn. Like my first year, I was so lost. I was so lost until I was found. That's the best part. Somebody or other finds you out there and like puts you back into, hey,
It's
are
like
you
not all
okay?
who are lost.
Sorry?
It's not like all are not lost. They're just wandering.
They're wanderer. They're all wandering, and it's a beautiful. Uh, it's just a beautiful space to let yourself be yourself. Let yourself be free. And again, you're stimulated so much because of the art that you see, the sounds that you're listening to. There are a lot of healing sessions that take place out there. There's a lot of yoga happening out there. There's a lot of conversations. There's a lot of conversations about safety going on out there. By the way, speaking of safety, it is so safe. I mean, like, I've never experienced something like that, because we
Right.
live in a country where, being a woman, it's
You.
not exactly the safest space. And being a DJ on top of that with late hours, not a safe space at all. So it really felt like I was liberated. I could do what I wanted when I wanted without having to fear.
Right.
There was zero fear at the burn, zero. And then being able to express yourself the way you want to, dress the way you want to, talk the way you want to, and gift the way you want to. Gifting is a big part of Burning Man as well. And it's not, I came in thinking like gifting, I'm gonna take something which is very Indian and give it to them. And as each day progressed at the burn, I realized that gifting in a deeper sense, Avantika, the gift of time, the gift of your talent, to a camp because you're doing everything out there for the love of it, right?
Right.
This is not monetary. Yes, you have to have enough to get there, but once you are there, everybody's doing things out of goodness, out of the sheer love of what they do. The space we are sitting in right now is a byproduct of that. It's clearly a byproduct of, hey, this is what I like to do. This is a side thing I'd like to do out of it, which is not monetary. It's because we get each other,
Right.
and tomorrow it's a quid pro quo. Like I do something related to music or more, who knows, for my community, for my people.
Right. It's
So
like
yeah,
artists for artists. And
yeah.
that's so beautiful. And, there's a very beautiful way in which you uh, piece together all of your, these experiences. So it kind of makes me wonder if there is a very holistic side as well to, or a, like, what is your like ritual with music, or before or after, like after a gig? I would love to know, because you do seem like someone with a very like centered space as well. But I've also seen you at your gigs and you're so groovy that, just looking at you, everyone's like grooving, and whether you know it or not, you're like, so you have those vibes. So could you tell us maybe the other side of Avantika, when like before you're on stage, or before send the sounds out, like
I
what's
wish
your
you could
ritual?
talk to my team about this
Mm-hmm.
because now they know exactly what Avantika is like before a gig, and they know the cues, they know what not to do.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
And they know exactly what is to be done. And that
Right.
is obviously predominantly because I was doing it for myself for such a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I had already done it for bigger artists, etc. So kind of like my own trials and tribulations got
Right.
me to that point. Uh, so a pre-gig Avantika is I like to be alone. Like,
Okay.
do not talk to me. Do not pass go. Do not collect 100. I don't like to party. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go to a dinner. I don't want to be hanging out at your place. I'm sorry, guys. This is the truth is out now. Finally, I
Right.
literally just want to be alone because that's like my time to think about the intention. What intention am I going into this gig with? Right? Okay, I'm going to Bangalore. My set timing is this hour. What time is sound check? Ensuring that you made it to sound check on time. Ensuring that your outfit is ready on time because I like to dress the part. So everything has to be kind of organized and planned. And when there have been times where these things were not organized and planned, and it was causing a lot of unnecessary just stress and anxiety.
Right.
You're so anxious all the time because it's constantly something or the other. There are lots of negative things happening.
We need some good news channels and good
Absolutely. And
newspapers.
every Monday, I try to put out a set of intentions. I write it to myself every day actually, but Mondays are like my goal setting, let's wake up with a positive mindset and try to actually list out things that you have been thinking about, would like to manifest. And I actually share that on my Instagram as well.
That's
And
so
I got a
cool.
really good positive response from people saying that, can we see more of this? Because that's what we connect with.
Mm.
A lot of the audience turns around saying, we like the glamorous side. Like, what is this nonsense? And I'm just
Right.
like, hey, you're going to get a piece of everything.
Right.
Avantika is not just going to be all about music. For me, like you said, the more holistic side, I've been a spiritual person since I was born. It was it my Nani ji, my mom, they've been students of the Vedanta, of the Bhagavad Gita since I can remember. I got exposed to it as a child very, very young. At a very young age, I used to go for Bal Vihar classes.
I
You know,
know those.
yeah, exactly. So Bal Vihar, my cousins, my sisters, we all used to, be together, and there was this sense of like again community. It was a strong bond. We were all very studious kids. We were all very curious kids. We were exposed to the Gita, which is like the most profound text I've ever come across, right? And it's such a simple text but so deep. It is so deep. It's essentially telling you to be the best version of yourself. right? While
Right.
keeping in mind, of course, the conversation that Krishna is having with Arjun and everything that they go through during their war. And that has actually been something that has kept me grounded through and through. I'm not saying I'm like some saint or anything like that,
Right.
it's definitely helped pave the way to finding balance in things that I do. I still have not found it, but pre-gig, I definitely try to keep my eyes closed for some time. As you know, we did this right before we started this session as well, because your nerves are kind of all over the place. You're anxious about something or the other. Your tech is not ready. The venue has told you last minute that, hey, we forgot to get you the exact tech that you need. You're like, damn, tonight's going to have to be a compromise for me. So going into something with already knowing that it's not going to be 100%.
Right. And when you were putting in 100%,
Dude,
like
that's it. You know how it is. It's
Yeah.
like you want more, you expect more because you are going to deliver what is promised.
right.
Like I'm promising you that I'm going to give you my everything.
Right.
And my small expectation is that, hey, listen, we are organized. We've sent you everything in advance. Don't disappoint me right before. So there are certain things, and things are happening literally all the time.
Right.
You're getting news like, okay, ab ye nahi ho raha hai. Now this speaker is not working. What should we do? In fact, now, after being in the industry for such a long time, is when I get calls in advance because I'm checking all the time that,
Right.
hey, I need to know what's going on. Earlier, you would land up at the gig. You don't know anything, right? You land up at the gig and you're like, the table is this high. I'm this short. And you're like DJing like that, literally.
Oh,
You're like,
no.
I can't see anything. Sometimes it's so low that you're like, my back is killing me. So at first, and I'm sure a lot of newbies out there, I feel your pain. Like I did all of this, landing up at the gig and being like, I don't even know what this is. Like, and they're like, bas this is it, this is what you itne mein itna hi milega. So that was really interesting, and I think post gig Avantika is more I think depending on the environment and the
Okay.
setting, like if it's a really big gig, I'm opening for Black Coffee, then I'm ready to party. I'm like, girl, you deserve this. So that day I don't really plan anything as such. It just I go with the flow. It's like, these, friends came or my parents are here. Maybe I'll do something with them. Maybe I do something with you guys like last night. Post gig, I'm like,
Right.
let's just go somewhere else because I was
Impromptu.
happy. It was a good gig, good turnout. Then you have gigs that are so bad that you're just literally biting your tongue and you're biting your lip and you're like, am I doing the right thing? Like, am I the right industry? Like, what am I doing? Almost
Do
near
you have
existential.
days like that?
Oh yeah. I've had plenty.
And how do you deal with it on days that you feel that way?
Old Avantika has definitely had a drink or two. No, I'm joking. But yeah, of course, you do things that are gonna help your mind kind of stay distracted for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a day gig, I would try to go out, and nature for me is a booster, like immediate booster. So you just put me somewhere in nature, or I can be by the water, whether it's a swimming pool or whether it's like a water body.
Right.
For me, but a beach, of course. Like that. Let's be honest.
Not a tub, not a bathtub.
No, bathtub is great.
It's also
Some
good.
bubbles and get some mood, jazz music playing in the background, nice candle, like nice incense coming in your room, chill. Not saying that that's what I do all the time, but when I have
Why not?
when I
Right.
have the access to things like this,
Right.
yes. I think there have been gigs that have been disappointing enough for me to just go to bed.
Oh.
Yeah. And I won't say like gigs because for many reasons. Sometimes I feel like, was that your best? Was it your best? Like what happened? Were you going through something? Was your day bad? Did someone say something to you? Was something brewing and then this exploded? So there's a lot of self-reflection happening all the time that, could this have been better? Was I good tonight? Was I good to the people that I was around? How was the energy on the dance floor? How did people feel about the performance? And I talk to people about this all the time. I talk to my team about it all the time. I'm like, I need to hear it for what it is.
Right.
Please don't mince these words. Please just be honest. Yeah, all the time.
So what are some of your most favorite gigs? Like the most memorable ones, if you had to name a few?
I think Burning Man and recently I was at Love Burn, which is the regional Burning Man event that takes place in Miami.
Okay.
So what happens is that every sort of city and maybe you can say camps as well. Camps are within that city.
Okay.
So like a Miami will have a Love Burn, and Africa has an Africa Burn.
Okay.
India has started having small, mini burns.
Mhm.
Bangalore actually does a burn in October. And so in Miami during Love Burn, that was incredible. Just when I thought like Burning Man is the best and it's everything, it still is. It still is. It's just so difficult. It's so hard to do. It's hard.
Right.
It's difficult. It's difficult if you want to do it the right way.
No
It's
cheat
very
codes.
it's very easy if you want to, like and go in a
Yeah.
nice cozy thing. But some of the best ones have been Love Burn in Miami. This February I was there. It was fantastic. Amazing. Some of the best camps, best sound systems by the water.
Whoa.
It was like a very nice tropical environment out there. And
Nice.
there was one where we were on an art car, which was like this really cool bus called Cymatica.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is Mickey Beach, which is where I was camping. Beautiful people, beautiful, beyond beautiful people, magical people, and they all have serious jobs in the default world. And I'm talking like surgeons, doctors, engineers. And then they all just come to the playa and they're like, this is what we want to do with, the earnings that we've made. Like, this is what we would like to actually give back to building this community. People are literally making things with their hands out there. You have shifts. I had a shift. I had a 3-hour shift where we made chicken tikka tacos for 700 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and the shift started at 3 a.m. and went on till it just goes on. It doesn't stop. It's like there's no timing at the
Right.
burn. You're not looking at your phones. So that was a phenomenal experience. Very and the dance floor could be 10 people.
Mhm.
You love them nonetheless. You love them nonetheless because they are there just like
They make up for the energy.
the energy is so palpable, right? And then you're feeding off their energy and you're like, I'm going to give it back like to you multifold, right? So that has been of course, I would say both the burns, both Love Burn and Burning Man have been incredible. Berlin was a really interesting experience in 2019. I played in Volkspark, which is a park, and there's a
Okay.
beer garden right there. And it's just it's a console, you have some when you start off, you're like, okay, cool. It's just
Mhm.
10, 15 people dancing. 6 hours later, it's like 600 people dancing.
Wow.
So I was like, no, was I here? Is this the same place? So that was incredible. And then within India, while I love Delhi, I love Bombay, I love Goa. Oh my God, great vibe. People are awesome. They're really there to let loose. And I think tier 2 cities have my heart. Like, I have had the best gigs in Nagpur, Raipur, Indore, Vizag, Agra. Incredible. You don't expect this at all. People have that one weekend per month probably, or now of course it's increased. But they're there for you. They're there to give you all the support that they can give you. And they don't come with a phone saying, Bollywood, please, or play harder or faster music.
You've had this
Shame on
thing-
all of you who do this, by the way. Shame on you. But they come to you saying, who are you? Where have you come from? I love you. Love from my cousin who saw you. And it's like, it's so pure. And
this
it's
is
so.
while you perform.
It's while you're performing, it's before, it's after. You really feel like you've done something right in this lifetime. You really feel like, wow, this is are they talking to me or are they talking to someone behind me? No, it's you. Like, they're here for you. They want to literally support you in every possible way. Your technical requirements are met. Hospitality is impeccable. They're actual legit clubs. It's not like in bigger cities, you're constantly looking for spaces and you just don't have them. Hence, festivals have suddenly become so popular and in demand. So tier 2 cities have been incredible, but not going to say I haven't loved my experiences in Delhi. There have been great experiences opening for international DJs like Jan Blomqvist. That happened at Soho in Delhi. That was fire. For Korolova, fire. Just recently in Salud, also at Soho. Um, I mean, it's been, of course, black coffee in Goa, so they've not only been I guess, the venues, but the overall experience, the setting that it was at.
Right.
So Black Coffee the first time in 2019, sorry, 2020, this was during the pandemic actually. It happened by the water, and people were just kind of finding out about who he is and what's Afro House. And so that was so memorable. And to take a dance floor from, I'm not even joking, there were 20 people, and handing over the decks to Black Coffee with close to 700 people in,
Wow.
that's all it could accommodate the place. It was a very, very beautiful moment. And of course, everybody collectively is to thank, right? So there have been so many now, countless experiences, and yeah, they're all unique in their own way. I mean, look at us. We met last night.
I
We met
know.
last night, and she's just like, you know what? I'm gonna help my friend make this place more magical.
And yeah, and we were so excited to have start these podcast sessions with someone as magical as you, because I just love the passion and the, like when you describe what you do or it actually takes a person through that journey as well. You, like when I was listening to you, it almost felt like I could feel that dust, or I could, I could hear the sounds, or like I want to move. Could you share some of the most hilarious or like bizarre things that have happened to you when you're behind the console?
Yes, I would love to share bizarre and hilarious stories. There's I think the most bizarre is equipment mishaps. So
Nightmare. That's more like nightmare. No?
it's a nightmare. It's pretty much a nightmare. You end up at the console. You've done your sound check. You're pretty sure the equipment is fine. The cue buttons are working. Your knobs, etc., are good. And while you're playing, and you're in this excited moment, and you're about to like introduce a second track, and you push one of the buttons, it just flies off.
No.
Or
No.
or it just flies off, and
What
you're
do you
like,
do in a situation
you're
like
like,
that?
oh,
Like,
it happened last night, by the way. We're not going to mention where, just last night. It was hilarious because it flew off, and then you're kind of like finding it, because now you have this steel sort of metal protruding, and you can't touch it because it hurts your fingers.
right.
Similarly, one of your CDJs decides to say bye bye in the middle of your set. It just goes on to a random loop, and you're like, hello, excuse me, I need you to function, which is why I also play
But
on.
that's crazy because I totally did not notice even the slightest panic last night. Like, I wouldn't have known if you didn't tell me this story. Like, you were just grooving. I was like so perfect.
Yeah, there's a lot hidden behind that perfection. There's a lot hidden behind the smile.
I love it. I love it.
No, it was funny. It actually flew off. I had to find it for some time, but then I caught somebody's eye and asked them to help me.
Like,
No, I was just like, I need to keep playing, so can you please come? Also, why it's important to have more than one CDJ, more than two
right.
CDJs. People are comfortable playing on two, but I think that the part which we tend to not think through is that anything could happen to one of them, and that jeopardizes your if you are playing just on CDJs or on vinyl players.
Right.
If you're playing on Tractor, Serato, and all these and softwares, then of course you have access to your laptop. You have access to you can still get by. But when your tech is limited to hardware, then it is important to like have more than
Right.
one, or at least tell the venue and the promoter and the organizer that it would be nice to have a backup CDJ out there. I play on 4 now, not with the thought that, oh, I need one extra one just in case something happens. I legit play on 4 because I'm sampling on one. I'm doing something or the other, using the bass of the other, or a nice hook that I like of a third track. So I think equipment mishaps is like number one. It's hilarious in the moment because you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do, right? And you can't do anything, or you do find help. You just have to learn to improvise. Um, of course, there's request roulette. I think the name says it all, right? Like, there's roulette going on of somebody or the other coming to you and trying their luck with a very strange request. Like, and
What
I
was the
mean,
strangest?
like, the genre does not match at all. It's
Right.
literally something unheard of. So they'll have like an 80s request.
And you're
You
looking at
know?
them like, listen, I'm not YouTube.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm not YouTube. I love YouTube. I'm not YouTube. I'm also not, a commercial DJ, right? There's a
Right.
difference between being commercial and being someone who has their own creative artistic style.
So,
So
what would DJ Avantika's special customized tech rider look like? Is there something different that your tech
it's a
rider would
great
have?
question. That's a great question. I didn't see that coming. Yeah, so my tech rider has obviously adapted over the years. I have So now I have a hybrid set as well. So if I'm performing the hybrid set, there is a certain piece of hardware, a mixer that I prefer because the microphone that I use, it's user friendly with it. Otherwise, you'll see four CDJs, you'll see a V10 Pioneer mixer.
Okay.
The CDJs are 3000s. We will always want to be, using what's the most recent.
Right.
And that also gives us an opportunity to learn the new tech that's out there, right? Um, with the hybrid set, there's also a microphone that's included. Very soon, I'll be adding another piece of equipment, but I think I'm going to have to carry that myself because these are certain things that,
What's the
are very personal.
craziest like equipment that you're looking forward to, or like some particular
Oh,
equipment that you would love
I'm
to?
actually building a studio, so I think I'm looking forward to a whole lot of
A lot.
things. Some synthesizers,
Mm.
good microphones for sure, because I am going to be recording my own vocals.
Right.
So studio wise, definitely that. I think tech wise, I'm exploring new CDJs.
Nice.
I did get to, try out a few during ADE at Amsterdam Dance Event in 2023.
Okay.
It's a music conference that takes place in Amsterdam, 5-day conference, and then showcases by night. So you get not only exposed to the new gear that's out there, you also meet like industry stalwarts, and you have meetings if you would like to talk about your music distribution, or you want to learn about it, or you want to meet certain producers who are like your gurus. So all of that happens there. So tech wise, I think my rider has this. Now I'll talk about the pet peeves now. Pet peeve is that no DJ wants to be sweating profusely. I don't. This DJ does not want to be sweating profusely because the organizers of the venue didn't have the foresight to see that, hey man, she doesn't have a fan. She got lots of fans.
Yeah.
If you know,
You read my
she got
mind.
lots of fans. She got lots of fans, but not the right kind of fan. And that's one thing that's in my rider for sure, is that my fan has to be there. I need to have tissue papers at the console. I need to have at least 2 bottles of water, one of which has to be chilled, one of which has to be room temperature. Why room temperature? People ask me. I'm like, because I need it for my voice.
Hmm.
The second you're drinking cold water, you're also
It's
exposed.
catchy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If it's too cold, I need a heater there. You have to, because you're not gonna, otherwise you're literally shaking,
I
and
mean,
it's
yeah.
unfair. It's like
Of
weird
course,
also.
of
It's
course.
not nice. So the height for me is extremely important, right? And there are other smaller things. There's a hospitality rider as well, which includes other aspects such as safety. That's a big concern for me, and should be a concern for most female DJs, especially all over globally, is that your hospitality needs to talk about, hey man, you're getting this person to come and put their art out there. Their safety is of utmost importance. People get rowdy. We're in an environment which
Right.
is, it's dark. It involves alcohol. It involves, so many people coming together, and you don't know a lot of them, and anything could happen.
Right.
So I think preempting that for me is extremely important. And of course, I, like things to be flawlessly executed. I know I'm asking for too much, but if I don't ask, then how will it get delivered, right? If we're not gonna request for what we need to be comfortable on stage, then it's gonna be extremely difficult
Like
for
if
me
you
to
don't
give
ask, you
you.
don't manifest it. Like it's
Yeah.
just-
Yeah. No, in this case, you literally have to ask. Like, there is no manifestation involved here. There is like, hey man, you want me to perform? We thank you. And we would really appreciate if we could have these things for sure. These are deal breakers.
Right.
And if these are not there, then you're jeopardizing your night, because you've jeopardized the artist's performance. You've jeopardized my creativity. I can't do. If you're giving me 2 CDJs when my tech says 4 or says 3 or says I need a microphone and you forgot about it, that's your night not going to turn out to be good,
Right.
because your audience came to expect something I wasn't able to deliver. They're looking at me saying she didn't deliver or he didn't deliver. They're not looking at the
behind
owner.
the scenes.
They're not.
Right.
They're not saying the owner is the one, or the promoter or the person who's organized it is the one we're going to point fingers at. That also happens. But when it comes to a specific performance base, and they're not going to care. They're going to say that
Yeah.
Avantika just, she was missing something tonight or whatever. So I don't want that. I want to give
Right.
people what I promise. I want to give them the most authentic self. And, there's a lot of thought that goes behind the experience you're trying to create for people.
And that is exactly what I was going to get to next, because you've told us the entire chaos that goes on behind the scenes, behind the console, inside, outside, but it's still so flawless. So, how do you plan? Do you have a certain format in which you plan out your sets? How do you pick your music? How do you work on your sets? Because it's so flawless and it's just
Yeah, thank you. It's so sweet that you think it's flawless. There are lots of mishaps that happen, by the way. Just to your previous question,
but I
even
think you covered it
DJs,
so well then. Like you must be like a genius. Like it's
you
just
just smile and wave. You're like, nobody saw that. It's all good. Like, I just keep moving on. No, of course, even we are human beings. There have been so many times where I accidentally press the pause button, and I'm like, and then you quickly restart it. So there's a sudden pause, but then you kind of back, and the audience is like, you know what? It's cool. We're here to vibe, and it
and
was
you're
a
human
moment.
afterwards
It's a
sometimes.
human
Yeah.
error. There have been lots of funny things that have happened, but creating sets, I think the most important is listening to music. I'm listening to music all the time, and genres, like we've had discussions that range from, you name it. There's so much exposure from all my global travels. There's exposure from even like my nieces. You're listening to like nursery rhymes, and you're going for a walk or to the gym, and you're just singing a nursery rhyme, and I'm like, oh, there's
Yeah.
inspiration in that
Yeah.
too. There's
And
like a
I've listened.
playfulness,
Yeah.
and there's like something that sticks. um, so when I'm creating sets, I think the most important questions for me are: what is my venue? What is the vibe like at the venue? Is it an outdoor venue? Is it an indoor venue? You can ask my team this. I ask them all these questions all the time. I'm
Nice.
like, is it outdoor, indoor? What's the weather going to be like? What is the theme going? Is there a theme? Do we know how many tickets were sold? Have they started? What is the marketing plan? There's all these questions
Right.
first. Of course, I have playlists. I have plenty of playlists, right? But this helps me determine what sort of like direction I'd like to take. So now I've listened to all this music, I have all these answers, and now I would start working on set development. So it could start with, okay, what am I thinking about my opening track now that I know the theme for this party is going to be more sundowner-ish, or it's a sunrise, or it's going to be experimental.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an experimental playlist as well, which is like, this is the moment when I'm at Burning Man, you go straight into experimental. You're like, I'm going to play all the tracks that I know might not be received really well in this default commercial
Mm-hmm.
space, but you get to use them there. So I think listening to the right music, purchasing the music legally, guys, or then having, communities that you're a part of where you can exchange music with each other, like give something, receive something, and gift something to the other person. Um, I make playlists first starting with like what my opening vibe would be like. Then I tend to think about a little bit about keys.
Mm-hmm.
Certain tracks that work in the same key, how do they sound? Do they sound good or not? Then maybe I look at BPM as well.
Right.
That, I don't necessarily want it to go according to, if I start at 110 or 112, it shouldn't just progressively increase to 120,
Hmm.
118, 121, 124. No, it could be anything,
Right.
right? Then you have peak hour tracks where
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I know that this is going to be like perfect for peak hour. Um, so you have a chunk of those. I also have a folder that says Avantika's version of commercial music.
So cool.
Because like the way I describe commercial music is very different from
Mm-hmm.
what I think. I think it's so subjective, right?
Right.
What used to be um, commercial is no longer, and what is now, what I used to play back then, which I thought was like cool and underground shit, is like totally commercial today, right?
Right.
Commercial. So
Mm-hmm.
it's constantly evolving. And then once you have these playlists, I think for me, like creating the right folders is really important, and having more than one pen drive for sure. just in case, because you also want to kind of do throwbacks.
Right.
And you go back into like your old, like literally really old pen drives, and you have throwback folders, and they're saying, I'm feeling like I want to sample this vocal that I heard in Boston at that club when I was, letting myself go in college and, really feeling it. And I need to go into the first folder I ever created when I started DJing 10 years ago,
I
because
was going to ask you about that.
yeah,
Do you remember the tracks from your first ever?
absolutely.
Wow.
I have the exact playlist of what I played at Blue Frog in Bombay, which was my first ever gig. And after that, my first ever gig in Delhi as well. First two gigs in Delhi. So I have a playlist, and one of them, it's still called Social DC Playlist, which is Social Defense Colony Playlist.
Oh,
And that is like,
that just sounds
it's
so
got-
nostalgic
yeah,
in a strange way.
I still have Social DC Playlist, and
That
I
is so
often go
cool.
back into it. In fact, it is more than relevant for me today, because I'm literally back to where I started. And it's crazy. It's like it's gone full circle, and I've come back to that playlist saying, this is perfect. This is going to still make people's backsides move and shake. Like their tushes are going to be like, yay. So and then I think most importantly is, your tech has to be up to, once you've kind of made your playlist, you've gone into all these folders, you got to ensure your tech is good. So there are a lot of parameters on your CDJs or on your equipment that you can specifically set to your likes.
Right.
So you can save that, and the technology is so great. It like reads everything. It can be connected. You can play one pen drive on 4 CDJs. And last but not least is, I think, reading the room. Yeah, you just like you have to learn to read the room. Like you can't go to you can do whatever you want. Ideally, I would
Right.
highly suggest not to go just by what you've created. Because if you've come with a pre-planned set, it does seem a bit obvious. It can seem a bit obvious. And the room might completely change. The crowd might be like, I'm on this level right now. So like feeling that crowd's energy, kind of dropping one track, seeing their reaction, understanding that, making peace with that and moving on is so important. So reading the room is very important. You can't be hammering out 145 BPM, which I did recently, 143 rather, 145 BPM to a room which has come to enjoy like a nice sundowner vibe. It does not work.
Right.
And then I also have playlists that go according to like moods. So they're literally called when I'm feeling this, how I feel today. But I remember how I was feeling then when I made the playlist. So yeah, it's a mix and match of everything, and there is clearly some method to my madness.
So with all of that, for me, I just feel your music is so non-stencilized, and it's such a beautiful mix and amalgamation of just everything all your experiences, the different genres. I love that. So going from social DC to AAA. I keep hearing it everywhere. What is AA?
Triple A. It's Avantika and Amigos.
Okay.
And this actually got incepted. And of course, AAA is like just a little play on, at how at every gig, people want a AAA pass. Yeah. It's an all access area.
Right.
And we kind of played on both Avantika and Amigos and AAA. Avantika and Amigos got incepted with a pure, like, I want to say burner mindset, which was that I want to bring together people who are good at what they do in a space where we get to exercise what we're good at, right? And we're going to be traveling around not just India, but obviously starting in India because, this is our we're proud Indians.
Right. You start from home.
Yeah, you're going to start from home, and we'll be traveling around different cities, creating experiences. And we're not just throwing the word experience around, by the
Right,
way. Like, we were dead serious. As you know, I've been a thematic person my whole life. So these are going to be carefully thought through, consciously thought through. We do want people to come there feeling like they can have zero inhibitions and let themselves loose and, express themselves the way they want to and not be judged. And we got access to a place called Savoy Sweets in Manesar. It's a little in the outskirts of Gurgaon. and it's under the brand Ascot Hospitality.
Okay.
And there's a large chunk of that space that was not being utilized. It's almost like a construction site which has a warehouse feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I ideally looked at that and I said, this is perfect, and that's exactly what we tried to do with Avantika and Amigos. We called it the Diwali dance mix. It's actually on YouTube. You
I
should check it
saw that.
out.
I did.
And that is essentially, we consciously decided to create something that was so unique and personal. So the venue partners came together. We got lighting designers, we got videographers. A videographer got a friend to help. And this was all done as this is a non paid. This was out of sheer love of doing what we love.
Right.
And I wanted to really bring together and create a community of like minded people who just love music, love to dance, love to like make people have good experiences. And they do it with love.
Yeah.
They do it with like no real expectation that I this is going to be monetary, and it might eventually, who knows, right? But in that moment it got incepted with the love of just doing something. That dance mix came out really well, and it was so fun because we did everything on our own. We were literally lifting things, putting them together, and not typical India where you have a guy to do everything.
Right.
Of course you have vendors who come and leave things, but we wanted to execute it the way we wanted to and not have someone do something for us. So AAA got in, Avantika and Amigos got incepted there, and of late we've taken that and tried to conceptualize it into something more that can travel around India, right? So we're going to go all over India and create these experiences and partner up with really good, talented producers and DJs. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and play back to backs with them. It's going to be interesting. It's like a fun environment that we're going to create. And look, by the end of the day, we just want to have fun. Like, I don't know how to put this, but we just want to have a good time. We want to make people have a good time while feeling safe and being able to express themselves well. I want, women to start feeling included. I think inclusivity has been something very personal and close to me, and I'd really like to bring that to the forefront. So while these are just baby steps towards it, we're honestly looking for people, like-minded people, to just come to us, and we're open to everything right now. It's like open format Avantika's music, open format AAA.
It all just sounds so amazing. And I'm so eager to see what you come up with, and with every passing month, every passing, like I am just going to be following every little
Guys, Mia is a singer, by the way. You should check out her work. She's a great singer. I believe one of your tracks was all over the UK, played in Paris, so, and I met her last night. So these are just mini manifestations coming out to be true for me. So
I swear, it's magical, and we're in Majik House. And I think it's really been magical being in conversation with you, and just such an amazing soul, because even everything you just shared about the way you feel crowds should be, like all of it, or even the tiny things like don't throw this there or just be nice. So I think it all even just sums up you as a soul, because it's reflecting, and so you are that, and then you reflect it out, or you're like, okay, but that's amazing. I love it because it's just so much substance, not just like grooves and beats, but just so solid as a human. And I love it. So what are you working on currently? And because I am eager, so what's coming out?
I've been a classically trained Indian singer, and like I said, life comes full circle. So once I was starting to feel saturated with my DJ sets, I went back into my Riyaz practice, and it's going well.
Lovely.
So I introduced a hybrid set at Avantika and Amigos on Holi, and it was again, Holi was a great environment because you're like, everybody's gonna be, so you can do what you like. It was almost like Burning Man, right? You can be experimental, see how far you can go, and the response was extremely good. I do intend on now polishing that more, and yeah, I'm going to be performing in India and hopefully other countries very soon with the hybrid set. And of course, the natural course of progression is to produce your own music. I have 3 tracks almost ready.
Can't wait.
I know that my tracks are they're taking shape. I'm singing on them, on one
Oh,
or two of them,
lovely.
not all. I am collaborating with other producers as well and making just like cool music, different genres. Very true to me. All my tracks are different. Like one is melodic techno. Um, One is how I call it, I guess, like Afro, but poppy, like synth poppy as well.
Nice.
Very chill, very summer. It's nice. It's cool, and inspired by someone that has been someone I looked up to while growing up. So I can't spill the beans right now.
Not all of it. We'll keep some
Uh,
sacks away from
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then one is like hardcore tribal. It's like you're literally in the jungle and you have like it's some soundscape which is coming and taking
Wow.
transporting you back to
Playa.
yeah, not Playa. Well, yeah, Playa too. Playa too for sure. Just tribal-esque and tech house as well. And let's see, it's the sky's the limit now.
Surprise.
Once you start, it's like it's been such a fun process, really, and now I want to take it a step further. Really like hone my craft introduction and get the right appropriate gear to really start, I guess, learning more and growing more as well. Working with people who are much more, I guess, talented and have way more experience. That's something I love surrounding myself with people who are smart and smarter than me and just yeah, like disruptors like me. So I have original music coming up, hybrid set coming up, triple A is happening. Stay tuned. Join my broadcast channel if you haven't. I spill the beans about my tracks out there. I spill the beans about track IDs people don't have,
Whoa.
but I have.
So, what would just quick few pointers be to a lot of youngsters out there who probably want to pursue the same dream or looking to, walk the line of being a DJ? What would just a quick something for those little kids out there who dream of doing what you do someday?
I First and foremost is I think definitely stay engaged with the music aspect, right? Keep listening to new music, keep exploring different genres. It doesn't have to be just one style, because that really opens up your mind and it really helps you accept a lot of things as well. That not everything is for you. So just keep an open mind, listen to a lot of music. While you're doing all of this, be a little like try to be systematic and a bit organized with like what you do, like what you don't. You don't have to love everything. And it's becoming a difficult market to break into as well. For I keep hearing people coming up to me saying, it is tough, etc. So what did you do? So to answer that, 10 years ago, of course, it was very different. It was way more difficult. It was
Oh,
way more difficult. However, I would say, please stay persistent. Please stay true to your art. Trust in yourself. That's the first, like, that should actually be the first thing is that keep that trust in yourself very deep rooted. Every time you feel like you're about to give up, just take a deep breath and tell yourself it's going to be okay. Uh, be extremely patient. Rome was not built in a day. So for all of you who come to me saying, you to obviously must have, like, it's so easy for you. I'm just like,
ouch. No.
dekho ji, it was not easy. It's still not easy. It's just a lot of dedication to your passion and craft. It is a lot of discipline. Stay disciplined.
Yeah.
It's an industry where you can easily, tip over, right? It's you have access to everything here, right? You're having a good time, you meet cool
Right.
people. So I think try to stay as disciplined as possible. Trust yourself, trust your instincts. Keep working on the craft, make yourself better, educate yourself as much as possible. And don't be afraid to reach out to people if you're not finding the right resources, because people are out there to help you. We are doing this so that we can help you. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think this is just like a statement I say to the world. Like if you're struggling mentally, if you're struggling, not being able to understand why things are not adding up to you in your life, don't be afraid to ask for help because you will receive if you ask, if you truly manifest and put it out there. People are listening. There are angels everywhere. I truly believe in this. And last but not least is do it with love, so much love. Don't do it because it's like I have to earn money, and of course that is like a big part of it, right? You definitely need to get monetized. You'll get monetized if you're good. It's pretty simple. If you know how to be the best at what you do, you're going to get there. So be the best at what you do. Like literally, like do not, yes, make compromises for the right reasons, but please don't make compromises for, somebody coming and saying that it's just not doable. I'm sorry. Like, we couldn't do it. Try to make them understand that this is going to affect your career. So stay really like stuck on certain things and belief systems that you have, because that will take you a really long way. And have a blast while you do it. Have so much fun. Just keep smiling, keep making the world a better place. We need more music and magic and dance and good energy and good people. So yeah.
Definitely. You heard it from Avantika herself. It was so beautiful and such a magical conversation we've just shared. And thank you so much, because you just finished a late night gig. You're flying out tomorrow, and you were so sweet to give us this little.
We also had an hour and a half of a blackout where we were sitting with no electricity. Talking about tech mishaps, it could happen anywhere. You don't storm out and run away. You have compassion. You deal with it with compassion. So I think that's also something that a lot of people in this industry, we need to learn that not everything's going to be perfect. So you got to be compassionate also to the people who tried their best. They genuinely must have tried. When you know they didn't try, you know they didn't try. So yeah. So yes. And thank you guys for having me. It's been such a, we're going to use the word again, magical experience in the Majik House. And I'm extremely fortunate to have had an opportunity to be in this space. It's absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. And we've absolutely loved having you, and we hope to have you back again in future. All the very best.
Thank
We
you.
will all be following and cheering and grooving to
In case you want to follow me, the links are all
Yeah.
here.
You can find Avantika all over YouTube and SoundCloud and a few other channels and portals.
Spotify very soon once the original music is out. Very soon.
Yeah.
Thank
you so
you.
much.